Comrades and friends, sisters and brothers, first of all, I want to welcome you to our new office. For those who haven't seen it, this is the new Solidarity Center, and within the Solidarity Center, we have our Workers' World Party office in the back. So, anyway, we will be having an official open house very, very soon, sometime next month. My name is Monica Moorehead. I'm a secretariat member of Workers' World Party, a managing editor of Workers' World newspaper, and actually the editor of this book we put out maybe 6 years ago called Marxism, Reparations, and the Black Freedom Struggle. So I hope people who have not seen the book, since this is relevant for today's forum, will get a chance to get a copy for $5. Black History Month is not only a timely opportunity to reflect upon important struggles and movements, and also individuals who have played central roles in the Black liberation struggle, but it is also an important opportunity to analyze the state of movements and struggles today, especially those that have a great impact on Black people throughout the diaspora, and ideas on how to help advance the class struggle, for which the struggle for national liberation plays a decisive role. I do just want to take a few minutes to raise a pivotal event that attracted a whole new generation of young people, especially Black youth, into the struggle last year, which really helped to raise national consciousness around the issue of racist terror. And that event was the murder of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. This coming February 26th will mark the one-year anniversary of Trayvon tragically losing his life to a would-be cop, George Zimmerman, in a militarized, gated community in Sanford, Florida. And what helped to transcend this heinous atrocity, even beyond U.S. borders, is that for almost a whole month, Zimmerman remained free. He used the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, which states that anyone who feels that they're being threatened by someone else has the right to defend themselves, even shooting somebody to death. In other words, you can shoot now and ask questions later. But of course, in this instance, it was more about who was doing the shooting at whom. Zimmerman admitted to killing Martin, but the cops allowed him to walk free even without booking him. He was just, he went in, they brought him in, they questioned him, and then they let him go. And the cops knew firsthand that Zimmerman had a sordid history of targeting Black youth as young as 9 and 10 years old. Now, once the word about this case got out into the public and that no arrest had been made, Trayvon Martin's parents made a desperate plea for justice for their son, resulting in a petition that appeared first on Twitter, I believe, demanding Zimmerman's arrest be circulated on Twitter, and that a petition was actually circulated on Twitter. And close to 1 million signatures were gathered in just a short amount of time. And this petition raised even more visibility for the case, resulting in a national call on March 20th for nationally coordinated action in large cities and small, demanding Zimmerman's arrest and justice for Trayvon Martin. And these demonstrations, including direct action, were led by Black youth in Florida. Those who went to school with Trayvon Martin, they organized walkouts of their schools and sit-ins. It was really a tremendous outpouring of anger and resistance. And it got so big, and the state became so frightened by it, that it really forced the Florida state authorities to pressure the Sanford police to finally arrest Zimmerman on second-degree murder charges in late April. So it took them a whole 2 months to arrest Zimmerman. But he was granted bail just within the week that he was arrested. And who knows when his trial is going to be. We think it's going to be sometime in the summer. But there was an important lesson in this particular case because Zimmerman would have never been arrested for the killing of Trayvon Martin had it not been for the pressure of mass anger and resistance. And our party, along with others, saw the murder of Trayvon as an important spark and step forward to help generalize the issue of the genocidal racist terror in all its forms, whether it's racial profiling of black, brown, indigenous youth, the school to prison pipeline, and other forms of social injustice. I just want to point out in Baltimore, they had a tremendous demonstration. I think it was March 28th, that around Trayvon's murder, and I think 10,000 people came out and just took over City Hall for several hours. So, and this really helped to launch in so many ways the People's Power Assembly movement in that city, the CD we'll talk about. One of our main slogans at the demonstration on March 20th and beyond March 20th was "Stop the War on Black and Brown Youth." And the murder of Trayvon helped to localize so many struggles in many cities against racial profiling, including right here in New York City, where just a few weeks before Trayvon was murdered, another black youth, Ramarley Graham, who was a 19-year-old black youth, was shot to death in his own bathroom, and the cops chased him into his home, into his bathroom, and shot him dead in front of his brother and his grandmother. And there is a continuing struggle to demand justice for Ramarley Graham in terms of bringing charges, a demand to bring charges against the NYPD who killed him. And very soon we're going to have some speakers in future meetings to talk about that case. The truth is that capitalism as a worldwide system of putting profits before the needs of people commits acts of genocide against whole nations of oppressed peoples, Black, Latino, Arab, Indigenous, Asian, Muslim, along with the exploitation and super exploitation of all workers and the planet. We have seen that even with the re-election of Obama as the first African American president, that really nothing has changed one iota in terms of the status of African American and black people and other people of color in terms of maintaining a second class, a third class status. In many ways, it is even worsened with the police repression, the mass incarceration of close to 3 million people, the highest number of people in prison and jails, is right here in the United States, the increased poverty, and other forms of social injustice. Also, we cannot forget the call for the freedom of our political prisoners. Very, very important. Whether it's Mumia, Abu Jamal, it is a very important protest demanding his freedom, even though he is in so-called minimum security and doesn't face the death penalty anymore. He is still in prison. They still have refused to grant him parole after being in prison for over 30 years. He's still under the life imprisonment sentence. And on April 24th, his 59th birthday, there will be a protest in Philadelphia. And we will be helping to mobilize with the Free Mumia Coalition to go to Philadelphia on April 24th to demand his freedom. But there's also Leonard Peltier, there's Lynn Stewart, there's Cece McDonald, there's Dr. Afia Siddiqui, there's Sundiata and Coley, the Move 9, the Puerto Rican political prisoners, the Angola 2, the Panthers on death row in Texas. There's Assata Shakur, even though if she was not on free territory, if she wasn't granted asylum in Cuba, we know she would still be in prison today or even worse. And there are hundreds of more that, in terms of political prisoners in this country, those that are known and those who are not known. that we should keep on the front burner of every struggle. So, sisters and brothers, the common thread with all of our panelists today will be paying homage to heroic fighters who have never compromised their principles and never separated themselves from the movement, but view themselves as an extension of the movement for social change, including uprooting every vestige of capitalist oppression. And they all fought for a new world free from racism and all forms of bigotry, imperialist war, and poverty. And in ending my remarks, I just want to pay homage to two of these incredible freedom fighters. As I said, when Brenda gets here, she's going to talk about the legacy of Harriet Tubman. But I want to raise the legacy of Rosa Parks, because on February 4th marked the centennial of her birth. And even though she was not a revolutionary in terms of, in an ideological sense, she was a revolutionary in terms of action, because what she did in Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955, is that she helped to spark, and she refused to give up her bus or give up her seat on a segregated bus to a white man. She helped to spark a tremendous movement, not only in Montgomery, Alabama, the Montgomery bus boycott, of which I'm proud to say that my parents were a part of, but also she helped to launch the civil rights movement. You know, I mean, she played a tremendous role in doing that, and we should forever be grateful for that contribution she made to the struggle. And the other person I wanted to mention was Malcolm X, who was assassinated 48 years ago, this past February 21st. I know that Larry Hales was planning to speak about the legacy of Malcolm X. And what I'm going to say doesn't do really half justice to the contributions he made, but it is worth saying that he was an anti-racist, he was an anti-colonialist fighter, and the bottom line is that he was an internationalist. When the FBI began its terrorist COINTELPRO program, which was in the early 1950s. It wasn't the 1960s, it was the early 1950s. One of its first targets was Malcolm X, when he was first being attracted to the Nation of Islam, when he was in prison. And this is when they first targeted him. So it's really no surprise that the U.S. government was behind his execution. But Malcolm X's unwavering stance in the right of Black people and other oppressed people to the right to self-defense, which is part of the right to self-determination, against racist state repression, helped to lay the foundation for the formation of the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords, and other revolutionary organizations during the 1960s. So I want to end by saying, long live the revolutionary spirits and teachings of Malcolm X. Workers and oppressed of the world unite.